Community Health and Wellness Fair on Saturday, November 8th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Catch at Audubon Middle School in Leimert Park, 4120 11th Avenue. Join us for a day of health, healing, and community connection. There will be health screenings, immunizations, wellness information, a Catch Charter School recruitment fair, plus music and healthy snacks. And it's all free at the KBLA Talk 1580 Community Health and Wellness Fair, Saturday, November 8th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Audubon Middle School in Leimert Park, 4120 11th Avenue. Come out and bring the entire family. And if you have not yet checked out our KBLA Health and Wellness Hub, you should at KBLA1580.com. KBLA Talk 1580 thanks Catch Charter School, Prudential, Eastside, Cedar Sinai, and St. John's Community Health. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that a healthy community is a thriving community.
That's right, baby.
All the dope I stepped on, real get the rush gone. Then that what else you want? Power, powder, respect. I want that money and power and power. Money and powder and power. Money and powder and power.
That paper, yeah, I gotta stack that. Them diamonds keep blinking, we might have to jack that. Now boy, when that blicky come out, you get clapped fast. Throw down with a little joint. I'm at you like pat. Come back when them candles out around your block and kick that. Come back when your funeral in progress and hit that. Hit your back to back, you won't even hit back. You'll be splashing in fashion. You can check the drip.
Happy Friday. Grab your libations and snacks.
When you get hit.
You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Shout out to Andy, because, you know, Andy's always on theme. And it's Front Row Friday. So, you know, for the culture. Tonight, we're going to feature interviews with the cast of Power Book 4 Force. It's the final season. Episode 1 of season 3, the final one, kicks off tonight. And so we talked with Joseph Sikora, we meaning me, Joseph Sikora, Isaac Keys, Kris D, Lofton, Lili Simmons, Manuel Ramirez, Carmela, Adrienne Walker, and showrunner Gary Lennon. We got that coming up for you. I also had a conversation with Teyana Taylor, fresh off of her Ebony 100, Power 100, I believe that's the name, win. So we talked a little bit about what the title of entertainer means to her at this current moment in her career. She had a fire answer. Also talked to her a little bit about, her character in One Battle After Another is a revolutionary, a mother, and has caused a bit of controversy. So I talked to her about the character, what she pulled from Assata Shakur, as far as the role, and some other things. I think it's pretty interesting. And we had a conversation with Julia Roberts and Ayo about their new film, After the Hunt. Now, if you haven't heard about this film, it takes on the question of consent and believing the individual and the difference between how Gen X processes things and Gen Z. And it's fascinating, it's interesting, and, there's a lot of questions in it. So I talked to them about that. So we have all of that coming up for you later. But first, because, we get into the trending topics and headlines here. So one, Andy's always on theme more than he knows, because last night at the Kia Forum, Brandy and Monica hit The Boy Is Mine tour. And listen, that thing was like 4 hours, they said. They had special guest Miguel popped out, 50 Cent popped out and rocked the arena. Kalani came and blessed the crowd with Folded. Who else? Ty Dolla $ign was in the building. Snoop Dogg was backstage. It was a family affair, and they blew down the stage. So shout out to that. Now listen, really quickly before I get into other things, the chat's trying to, clown me getting my business here. Shout out to Morris Phillips. He said, Jill, I'm not getting into your business, but is that the same t-shirt from yesterday? Kinda. So it says this shirt saves lives, right? And it is a repeat performance because right now KBLA and St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital are fighting childhood cancer and sickle cell. It starts with a $19 monthly pledge. You can call 800-411-9898 to become a donor and to get this t-shirt. This shirt saves lives. Your donation will help save lives. Again, the number is 800-411-9898. No clownsies, no, things. We're saving lives over here. So you can pledge and get down with that. And then we'll be, twinsies on the shirts. All right. When we come forward, we're going to get into some more trending topics and headlines. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you ready for the hottest entertainment scoop in Los Angeles? She's bringing you exclusive interviews with today's biggest stars, behind-the-scenes Hollywood insights, and all the entertainment news you need to know. She's breaking down what's trending, what's ending, and what's just beginning in the world of entertainment. You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Find what you love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
With curbside pickup and delivery available, you'll always find what you love, only at Total Wine and More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. Southern California Edison confirmed to show up this week for our Altadena Town Hall, but then they reneged on their promise. KBLA Talk 1580 organized a town hall specifically for Black Altadena residents, people whose homes, memories, and futures went up in smoke when SCE's equipment sparked the flames. This wasn't some ambush or gotcha moment. This was a community saying, we need answers. We need to understand how this so-called fast pay program actually works. We need to know if justice will ever reach us. And Edison said no. Let's be crystal clear about what that means. This wasn't a scheduling conflict. This was a choice that tells Black Altadena residents that even after the fire, even after the devastation, even after admitting fault through the settlement program, they still don't matter enough for a couple of hours of Edison's time. You know what takes courage? Facing people you've harmed, sitting in a room and yes, live on talk radio with folks who lost everything because of your infrastructure failures and explaining how you intend to make it right. That takes backbone. That's what real accountability looks like. When you're the reason people lost everything, you don't get to cancel on survivors waiting for answers. You don't get to send your regrets to KBLA and call it a day. This is about respect, or rather, the complete lack of it. This is the same pattern of neglect that may have led to the fires in the first place, and now they're doubling down on disrespect in the aftermath. The residents of Altadena have endured enough hell, and now they are navigating the nightmare of settlement claims, trying to understand what they are actually entitled to receive. Southern California Edison, you owe Black Altadena more than money. You owe them your presence, your transparency, your time, and you owe KBLA Talk 1580 A public apology, I might add. And until we get it, we're going to keep emailing the top dog at SCE, Mr. Pedro Pizarro. His email is pedro.pizarro@sce.com. Pizarro spelled Pizarro. Pedro.pizarro@sce.com. Or you can call 626-302-2255 and then press the number 1. That's 626-302-2255 and then press the number 1 to speak to a live person and express yourself. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. So we have a couple of trending topics that we're going to hit before we get into those interviews. Shout out to the YouTube chat. They're already chatting. Big ups to the community that vibes and gets me there, so much so that Royale Jenkins called out the first story that I'm going to talk about. So, your guy Diddy. Listen, do you know who Narcissus was in Greek mythology? Obviously, we know what the Latin extension of that word became, narcissist. Narcissus, he was a Greek youth that fell so in love with his image in a pond that he ended up drowning, staring at himself, right? Just caught up in his own environment. Sounds a lot like Diddy right now. Diddy was reportedly caught drinking a homemade alcohol while in prison. Maybe with the homies he was out on the yard with. They probably hooked him up. After telling the court that he's been sober for the first time in 25 years. So according to TMZ, Diddy got busted with some homemade alcohol inside his unit at Fort Dix. This is a low-security prison. And, you know, Diddy's lawyers requested that he serve his 50-month prison sentence in this way. Now, first of all, have you ever watched, like, you know how they have the guys that are on TikTok and stuff that are actually behind the wall and they got phone and why do they show their faces in that? I never understood that. But that's a question for another day. But they show you exactly how they make this jailhouse alcohol. Sometimes they make it in the toilet. They have to ferment it. Dog, how desperate do you have to be drinking homemade hooch?
It's jail.
It is. But you can't just not drink.
Trying to get your buzz on. Sorry.
I suppose, you know. So, again, this was the location that was requested by Diddy's lawyers so he could enroll in the program's residential drug abuse program, right? And he would complete a 12-month program to shave time off of his 4-year sentence of May 2028, right? Instead of that, he'd be being released in February 2027, give or take, right? But now, all of the strategic planning, I don't know what's going to happen right now. Him getting caught up certainly doesn't bode too well for him. The libation was concocted of Fanta soda, sugar, and apples that the inmates let ferment for about 2 weeks, right? So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was a little tasty. The apples give you some sweetness. I don't know. But Diddy, you got to chill out. Maybe he's waiting on that pardon to hit. So he's like, I'm good with this. I'm not worried about it, right? We will have to see, you know. Shout out to him. I wonder if somebody snitched on him, though. Do you know what I'm saying? I wonder if somebody told, yo, you know Sean Combs over there with the hooch. You know he over there getting lit. What happened? Because you weren't let in the circle? Anyway, speaking of, I know we've been talking a lot about gambling the past couple of weeks, and college basketball is now jumping into that conversation. They're facing another integrity crisis, right? The NCAA announced this Friday that 6 players from 3 universities have been permanently banned after months-long investigation, uncovered betting activity, insider information leaks, and deliberate game manipulation. The players caught up are Chanton B.J. Freeman from Arizona State, Sedaquavius, that's a name, baby, Hunter, Diquavian Short, and Jamond Vincent from the University of New Orleans. Shout out to those names. And Donovan Sanders and Alvin Stredick from Mississippi Valley State. So, according to Associated Press, they found that several players intentionally affected game outcomes during the 24-25 season to benefit outside bettors. At the University of New Orleans, those 3 players were found to have deliberately altered their performance in at least 7 games so that the team would lose by more points than the spread. Because we've been talking about it, it's not necessarily who wins or loses, it's about the spread. And during one game, a teammate allegedly overheard a player say, "Don't score" during a timeout after realizing the team was ahead of the betting line. At Mississippi Valley State, 2 players were caught communicating with known gamblers about inside information and betting trends before tip-off. And at Arizona State, B.J. Freeman allegedly shared personal game data and performance expectations with friends who place bets through daily fantasy accounts. Now, that one, I feel like, sounds like it could be tricky, right? Because if you're just kind of chatting with your friends and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to go bet some money," is that your fault? Are you giving inside information? A little bit. You know, you have to be careful of the conversations you're having and who's listening and who's around you. Can you have anybody around you that gambles if you are a professional athlete at this time? If they indulge at all? Like, not saying you're doing anything wrong, but if they partake in, placing bets on the sport that you are a part of, can that be your close friend? At this current time, I don't know. Andy?
Guilty by association.
I mean, yeah. The NCAA didn't hesitate. They revoked all 6 players' eligibility indefinitely and notified the schools that their names would be permanently flagged in the association's compliance system. Right? So it should also be noted that none of the athletes involved are currently enrolled at their universities. So I guess they've graduated or had left the program at some point, but it's still a stain on the universities. So that also makes me wonder, because I'm not sure at what level these players are at, right? Because it was just last season. Did the university find out? Did they pick up on what was going on? And we're like, "No, ma'am, ham"? Not sure. But we'll see. This is going to continue to be a story as we see. It just continues to roll out. All right. If you were not aware, today the 2026 Grammy nominations were announced. And of course, not like us, Kendrick Lamar, remember he wasn't eligible last year because of the timing of when it came out. No, the album wasn't eligible. The single was. I think that's what it is, right? But he is coming in as the most nominated artist for the 2026 Grammys with 9 nominations, right? Lady Gaga sits with the second most nominations at 7, and Bad Bunny, Sabrina Carpenter, and Leon Thomas each have 6. All 5 are up for Album of the Year alongside Justin Bieber, The Clips, and Tyler, the Creator. So it looks like hip-hop is still relevant somewhere. Maybe not the Billboard charts, but it's still relevant. Other notable nominations include the K-pop Demon Hunters soundtrack getting 3 nominations, that track Golden, as well as Timothée Chalamet and Steven Spielberg earning their first nomination. Let's see who else. Let me get you the specifics for Best Rap Album of the Year. It is Glorilla for Glorious, God Does Not Like Ugly, JID, GNX, Kendrick Lamar, Chromo Complete. I don't know how to pronounce the name of Tyler, the Creator's album. Chromacopia. Thank you, Andy. And Let God Sort 'Em Out, The Clips, Pusha T, and Malice. So that's what's popping there.
That's an easy Kendrick victory right there.
Pretty much, yeah. Best R&B performance, we going UConn, Justin Bieber, Get your booze in now. That song was a bop. At least the remix. It Depends. Chris Brown featuring Bryson Tiller. If you're not sure what that is, that's the song that you've seen everybody do the little TikTok dance to. That's what the song is called. Folded, Kehlani. I kind of think that that's hers to lose, honestly. Heart of a Woman, Summer Walker, which those two up against each other, that's hot fire. I'm not going to be mad at either one. Those are my girls. That's hot fire. That's heat. Along with It Depends. This is a good category. And the last...
Summer.
Summer all the way?
Give me Summer.
I could take Summer or Kehlani. It Depends was the bop too. I don't know. That's a hard one. And Mutt is also in there. Leon Thomas from his 20 Dutch performance. You think Mutt's going to win?
Mutt's going to win. Come on now. What?
Really?
Yeah.
More than Folded?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Mutt, that was a firestorm. You had everybody doing remixes. Chris Brown, no, I'm sorry. Mutt got that. And I was going for Summer, but Mutt got that.
That's a fire category, though. Like, the nominations, those are legit. I'm not mad at it. So, for Best Rap Performance, we got Outside, Cardi B. Surprised that's the one that, but I guess timing. We'll hear more from this album in the Grammys next year, probably. Chains and Whips from the Clips. You know, that features Kendrick and Pharrell. Anxiety from Doechii. How are we still having stuff from that album? I don't know. TV Off, Kendrick and Lefty.
Oh, man. Come on now. TV Off.
And Darling I, Tyler, the Creator, featuring Tizo Touchdown. But I think Kendrick's going to have another, big one this year. We'll have to see. Giveon has been nominated for Album of the Year as well. And who else was nominated? There's a couple others. I'm trying to get to my list to see the rest. But shout out to the Clips for getting, a comeback album, right? Some people are saying that they used their little beef, not little, should not say little, but their issues with, Drake, Travis Scott, and who am I missing? Yeah,
look, tell me you don't know about the entertainment game without saying it.
What, were the people that are saying that?
Yeah, come on now. You're supposed to piggyback off of something.
You are.
Hot.
Especially now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's hard to, attention is a currency. It's hard to court it. So any way that you can get it and put yourself out there, I said that's a win.
Not everybody's Beyonce. You know what I'm saying? Beyonce will just drop, and then before you know it, it's just like, firestorm. Clips drops without any type of promo. You're probably not going to know unless you tapped in. So
these are big facts. So I got a little bit more for you. Best Traditional R&B Performance. We have Here We Are, Duran Bernard. Uptown, Layla Hathaway. Love You Too, Lettucey. Crybaby, SZA. Vibes Don't Lie, Leon Thomas. For Best R&B Song, I did Best R&B Song. And Best Progressive R&B Album, the nominees are Access All Areas, Flow, Bloom, Duran. Adjust Brightness, Bilal. Love on Digital, Destin Conrad. Come As You Are, Terrence Martin and Keon Dixon. So, we showing up, doing our thing, right? And big ups to Kehlani because Best R&B Song and Best R&B Performance. So, we're going to see.
I guess we're not complaining about representation this go around, huh?
I don't know. I feel like, and I haven't even touched on all of the categories, the big ones. I'm just, giving us the home ones.
I think it's expected that come Grammy Award season, with Kendrick with the most nominations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Across all categories?
Yeah, 9.
Okay, so I expect him to be obviously highlighted in all the promos and whatnot. So I think hip-hop will be highlighted. That little minor setback that we had with no hip-hop songs on the Billboard chart, don't even trip. This Grammy Awards might be the most hip-hop award show ever. I still think we need to put more gravity on the BET Awards, NAACP Awards, Brio Awards, that type of stuff, but I get what the Grammys mean to the music industry or whatnot, but I do think that hip-hop will definitely be elevated this year.
Bouncing back, and then next year you got to think next year it's going to be, a storm if it really goes down the way it is, because we're going to have Megan and Cardi. I'm sure Lover Girl is going to get nominated for something, and more songs from Cardi's album. And, it's just a lot happening. So I appreciate it. I appreciate us getting our stance in. All right, listen. Coming up, as I said, we have interviews with the entire cast as well as the showrunner of Power Book 4 Force. The final season kicks off tonight, last night at midnight, if you have the app. And so, we got some intel, little clues to what's going on this season in Force. Let me tell you, it's a doozy. I've already seen a few episodes, so, make sure you're tapped in. We also talked with Teyana Taylor about her win at the Ebony Power 100 for Entertainer of the Year, as well as about her role in One Battle After Another. Perfumida Beverly Hills, that's what her character's name is, and Julia Roberts and Ayo for After the Hunt. So, Front Row Fridays is in full effect, bringing it all to you. I'm getting out of here. Well, I'll still be here, but, you won't see me. You'll be listening to the interviews. So check that out. I'll be back here Monday, 6 p.m. for more trending topics and headlines. Thanks for rocking with me.
I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like a ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
You're in the know with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Travelers across the country are facing major delays as FAA cuts take effect amid the ongoing government shutdown. This man is stranded at LAX.
It just feels like there's not much else we can do about it except feel upset.
About 4% of flights are grounded at major airports, with that number expected to reach 10% next week. Former Black NFL star Antonio Brown faced a New Jersey judge after being extradited from Dubai on attempted murder charges. He'll now be transferred to Florida, accused of opening fire outside a Miami boxing event in May after claiming he was jumped by men trying to steal his jewelry. And Black Atlanta native Tyler Perry is giving back amid the ongoing government shutdown, donating $1.4 million to Georgia charities, including Baby to Baby, the Atlanta Community Food Bank, and Meals on Wheels Atlanta. Perry told People magazine that those who've never struggled may not understand how crucial SNAP benefits are. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Delays in Burbank for that 134 eastbound loading up away from Pass Avenue. Delays taking you ahead all the way to Glendale Avenue in Glendale. Now, if you're staying eastbound onto the 210 out of Pasadena, delays here are loading up from Mountain, and it's a heavy drive all the way to Foothill Boulevard. It's also tough in Burbank for the southbound side of the 5, pushing back away from Burbank Boulevard, heavy and slow all the way to the 605 freeway.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Important game for the USC football team tonight at the Coliseum. The number 19 Trojans are at home against Northwestern at 6-2 overall. The Trojans need a win to remain in contention for the 12-team NCAA playoffs. 3 losses could knock them out of consideration. UCLA is back in action tomorrow night after a bye week. The Bruins take on Nebraska at the Rose Bowl. Interesting game for UCLA interim coach Tim Skipper. Skipper needs to impress the administration to show he can get the team back on track after a major setback in their last game. A 56-6 loss at number 2 Indiana. 6 o'clock kickoff tomorrow night. Fox Sports will have live coverage if you're not going to the game. The top HBCU football game this weekend features Howard at South Carolina State. Howard, known to some folks as the real HU, has not won at South Carolina State since 2017. South Carolina State has won 4 straight. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
You ready?
You're invited to the KBLA Talk 1580 Community Health and Wellness Fair on Saturday, November 8th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Catch at Audubon Middle School in Leimert Park, 4120 11th Avenue. Join us for a day of health, healing, and community connection. There will be health screenings, immunizations, wellness information, a Catch Charter School recruitment fair, plus music and healthy snacks. And it's all free at the KBLA Talk 1580 Community Health and Wellness Fair, Saturday, November 8th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Audubon Middle School in Leimert Park, 4120 11th Avenue. Come out and bring the entire family. And if you have not yet checked out our KBLA Health and Wellness Hub, you should at KBLA1580.com. KBLA Talk 1580 thanks Catch Charter School, Prudential, Eastside, Cedars-Sinai, and St. John's Community Health. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that a healthy community is a thriving community.
That's right, baby.
Spend an evening with philosopher and writer Kwame Anthony Appiah at Pomona College on Saturday, November 8th at 4 p.m. at the John A. Payton Distinguished Lectureship. Author of the New York Times column The Ethicist, Appiah has been identified as one of foreign policy's top 100 public intellectuals and is a National Humanities Medal recipient. This event is free and open to the public, but tickets are required. Visit pomona.edu/Payton-ticket to reserve tickets now.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Jill Munroe, KBLA Talk 1580. So we talked a little bit about the ghost of the past, pardon the pun, chasing all of these characters. So at this moment right now, as we've seen them transform, do you think that they believe who they are portraying to be for Kris to Shanti, for Isaac and Joseph to each other? Do they really feel their loyalty and locked in and moving forward together? Or are they really thinking at any moment, I got to split and get out of this because I'm faking to an extent?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
Well, who wants to take that? Who wants to start with that guy?
I'll start for a second. I think that everybody's understood that in this game that there's not much loyalty. It's just, what can you do for me right now type of situation. But I think that Diamond really uniquely wants to be able to have loyalty with his brother. I think that Diamond really wants Jannard to be able to say, for him to be able to lean on him and trust on him. And I think that he's always going to question, Diamond's always going to question Tommy just because he's not from Chicago. One main reason, he's not from Chicago, and because he kind of came in without really asking for permission. He came in with just demanding, wanting his way in Chicago. And I think when it all comes down to it, we all want somebody we can trust and lean on. And this game allows you to not be able to have that. And I think, you look at your brother and you want, that's your brother, that's your blood, and it's Chicago. And I think it's, he's drawn to that. But Jannard keeps on putting things in the way. Keeps putting these barriers. But as you start to see, and I love how this is written, you start to see that journey where Diamond's trying to pull Jannard in, but Jannard kind of pulls back. And then he's trying to pull, Tommy, we can do it this way? And this doesn't work. So I just love how it's so layered in so many capacities that you, as an audience, you're always going to be you're going to be rooting for each character. You're going to be rooting for everybody and what they could do. So
I would say for me, I love that Tommy is an all-in type of guy. He is, I will die on this hill. I think that as much that he has said in the original Power show, there ain't no such thing as a half gangster. I think that he believes that fully. And I think that in the same way, when he asked Lakeisha, he's like, if you with me, you got to be all the way with me. And at the same time, he slid a gun out of the couch. And she said, I'm with you, Tommy. And he slid the gun back underneath the couch. Maria, on her own accord, after some time, said, hey, look, I know this world. I was born into this world. I love that Gary has her vehemently saying, no, 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 because he puts her so far back that she's got to go all the way here to say yes. But when she makes that journey, Tommy is watching that journey. And when she says, I'm with you, Tommy, Tommy understands what that means. That means for Tommy, that means he knows now he's got a weak spot. And is Tommy going to allow that weak spot? But also he knows that Maria said, I will give you everything. And Tommy means it. And he says, I will give you everything now.
Oh, true. No, that's dope. I don't even know how to come back from those answers. It's kind of what Joseph said. I've always said that same thing too. There's no such thing as halfway crooks, and especially in this power universe. There's no such thing as halfway crooks. I don't think Jannard is loyal to just one thing. I think Jannard is loyal to himself, but also he wants to be loyal to his brother. I think he truly, truly wants that. I don't think he's faking. Jannard is exactly who you think he is, but he's also more than what meets the eye. There's so many more layers to Jannard that people don't understand and realize. I think we forget because of the stuff that he goes through. We forget that he was going to the Ivy League. Jannard was going to the Ivy League. He's smarter than he looks. He just dresses this way. He's very calculated, very meticulous, very intentional. And I think his loyalty with his brother was tested just simply because of the Tommy character coming in. I think that there was something that Jannard just wanted when his brother got out of prison. He wanted that partnership, that camaraderie, that brotherly love in business. And I feel as if he's kind of jealous of Tommy because he feels as if Tommy took that from him. He took that position. The position that Tommy has in my brother's life is where Jannard saw himself. He never wanted to be his brother and take over and kick him out and just exile Diamond. That's never what he wanted. He just wanted to be 1 and 2. He wanted to be the Ghost and Tommy, but me and my brother. But now the Tommy came, and now it's kind of just like, now where is his loyalty? So I don't think Jannard is faking it. He is who he says he is, because there's no such thing as halfway crooks. The persons that he's had to become over the course of that 15 years while his brother was incarcerated with no father figure, with no older brother who was like a father figure to him. I've literally been out here probably since 16, 17, figuring out my own way, not only in life and as a man in the real world, but in this business, in this world, which is even darker than the real world. And I had to navigate that alone. So I think that Jannard is exactly who he says he is, but there's also layers to him that just wants that brotherly love and bond and acceptance.
I think real quick, I think when you ask the loyalty question, this kind of came revelation right now, is that the loyalty is to the streets. Everybody else is just pawns. Everybody, and you look at all these characters, the loyalty is to the streets. And that's ironic that it's that way, because the streets are not loyal to anybody. But if you look at each character, we're all, it's the streets who we're loyal to in that capacity. So, yeah.
Mm. So I'm really excited to see how this union plays out, because there's so many little intricacies between the two of you. So loyalty and leverage is a lot of what's going on this season. How does that work for or against this union and then their characters independently? And I'll start with you, Adrienne.
Ooh, loyalty and leverage. I like that. That's definitely a dynamic that comes into play between Jannard and Shanti a lot. And I think that they have leveraged each other, but I think at the end of it, they at least for Shanti, there's a desire to be loyal or to have loyalty from Jannard because of the potential she sees in him, and her desire to be at the top of CBI involves Jannard to a great extent. And so I think that, you named it. The theme of season 3 is definitely leverage and loyalty when it comes to these two.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, I feel like Jannard, he's using loyalty. He's using the loyalty card because leverage, he doesn't have any. I don't think Jannard has any leverage in any facet of the word with any character in the universe right now. I don't think he's in no position to have leverage. He's kind of in this space where he kind of has to listen to other people right now until he can regain an ounce of leverage. He's looking for that moment. The same way Shanti, she's watching the board playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers. Jannard is looking for his moment to show and prove so he can create leverage. Even I think season 2, there was a moment where I think we had a shootout scene, warehouse shootout scene, and somebody could have got Tommy. Somebody could have shot Tommy. And Jannard could have even took Tommy out in that moment, and we could have just been, all my problems could have been alleviated. But I looked at that moment as, this is a moment to gain leverage. Mm-hmm. And I helped Tommy in that moment, and I thought I should have took him out. So I think Jannard is always looking for a moment to regain leverage so he can truly take back what he thinks truly belongs to him, which is CBI and being at top.
So along those lines, Adrienne, for Shanti, it seems obvious to me that Jannard is open, but is Shanti really in love with him, or is he just a piece on the board that she could cut at any time?
That's such a great question because I also struggle with that as an actor in season 2. And I would sit down with Gary and I'm like, Gary, does she really love Jannard? And he's like, yes, she loves Jannard. Yes, she loves Jannard. And so in wrestling with that, I've decided and I've chosen for Shanti that that's how she sees love. It's conditional. It is manipulative. It's callous. It's cold at times, but that's the only way that she knows how to give it and that's just the dynamic for Shanti. And so in her heart, she does love him to the best of her ability. That's what she knows love is, and she does love him.
Great to speak with you today, Gary. So with season 3, was there a particular theme or a way you wanted to extend power in transition going into this? And did you know that it was going to be the final season when you were shaping it?
Yeah, definitely knew it was going to be the final season when we were shaping it. And I think the biggest thing that was on my mind as the stories were being put together was how did the audience want to see Tommy evolve as a man, as a criminal? And I think we do that this season. And also, I think we owed the audience to answer the question. I think the question of the premise of the first season of this show Force was, will Tommy become the biggest, baddest drug dealer in Chicago? And we answered that question this season as well. And I feel like those are the two pressing issues coming into the season that I think that we delivered upon.
So obviously we learned of Tommy. We got in a partnership, and we've seen him through these seasons move in and out of partnerships with, Isaac's character, obviously Diamond, as his sort of rock, his pairing. What do you think Tommy has learned about business being uncoupled from Ghost and these new pairings that he's gotten with in his journey in Chicago?
Yeah, I think Tommy's learned a lot of working with Ghost and working with Diamond are two very different things. I mean, Ghost truly was family to Tommy. They came up together on the street. Isaac was a new relationship. There are growing pains in new relationships. There's other things in Diamond's story that will come into play. And, the question this season is, will Tommy and Diamond be able to be partners? Will they be able to share power, right? And will something come in between their partnering and blow everything to smithereens? And how will Tommy handle that, having learned everything that he did learn working with Ghost on Power? And so all the things that he learned with Ghost on Power will inform the way he moves this season in Force.
So speaking of that, we've seen Tommy in love, and we've seen Tommy lose a lot as far as love goes. For this particular relationship, you were, again, shaping it to whatever's going to happen towards our journey. What did you want Tommy to learn about love and experience in this version of him?
I think that in this version of him in love, we wanted to explore the idea that, the truth is that criminals in particular often do not want to love anyone because they know that if you love someone, they're at risk, right? Because they're sort of your kryptonite, the person you love, because Tommy really doesn't care what you do to him. He just doesn't want you to hurt anybody that he loves, his family. And so in this relationship, I think Tommy thinks that he can have it all. He can control, it's hubristic. He can control everything so that he can have both a criminal life and a personal life. And we explore that question, can you have it all, throughout this season?
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. I'm looking forward to seeing it all work out.
Thanks, Jill. Appreciate it.
So starting off, family is already complicated. Then you throw in the family business and love. whose loyalty, family, romantic love, or the streets wins out ultimately for this particular family this season? Carmela, we'll start with you.
I think Maria has to get creative and find a hybrid of both. I think her dynamic teaches us that family could be your blood, or family could be the people that you choose to ride or die for. So you kind of got to figure out how that's going to affect your decision making, but ultimately it's both. And she's got to figure out a way to have both, because I don't think she'll let up on Tommy or her brother.
And then what about you? Because Miguel...
I say family and love come hand in hand, but streets overall, because that's what we eat from.
So for Miguel, he is trying to protect his sister, trying to protect his business. Would he ever consider moving her off the board completely in order to make sure that his business stays intact?
I think at the end of episode 10, you see him moving her off the board, but she's so strong-willed and more like Abuelita than she or Miguel know, they thinks, and that's going to be very hard to keep her off the board, because Mireya's going to do what she wants. She is Miguel's equal in strength and ego, and she's an alpha herself. So no matter what Miguel tries to do to keep her off the board, it's not going to work. She's going to find her way back.
So who does Maria fear in all of this? Is there anyone that she has a fear for?
She doesn't fear anybody, and I think she showed that with Abuelita, because even Miguel feared Abuelita, and Miguel fears no one. And she proved that she didn't even fear Abuelita. So I don't think she fears anybody.
I think if there's anything she fears, it's a world without Tommy and Miguel. That's the one thing that she just can't get behind. And she's smart and she's strong, so she's going to make it happen somehow.
So does Miguel think that he will be able to have leverage over Tommy and still keep his sister close?
No, I don't think he feels that. I think he wants that, but he knows who Mireya is, and he's finding out really fast what she is and what she's capable of. So I think he needs to pull back and stay in his lane.
Who does he fear most in all of this? Tommy, other crews?
Abuelita. Even though she's dead, Abuelita.
Still. So for you, Carmela, is Tommy and their love, does she really see a future with this? Or do you think that she just wants to, figure out her love and her place in it, but really she has to make a choice. There's always a choice. So does she think that she really can hold it all together and not have to make that choice?
I think she does, and I think she's willing to sacrifice for Tommy. I think she knows deep down that that's her man, and she will do whatever it takes. This season forces her to think really creatively about how to navigate keeping him as an absolute, but also not losing her brother. And I think her actions will not be what audiences are expecting, but she's creative, she's smart, and she's going to find a way.
Amazing. Thank you both so much for your time.
Shout out KBLA. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you. Jill Munroe, KBLA Talk 1580. My question is for all of you or whomever cares to answer. There's an interesting through line that I didn't know who I could trust outside of Frederick in watching this and sort of going through it. And I feel like I would like to know how you portray a character or build a character that the audience's perception shapes so much on how much they believe the character or what they're kind of presenting as far as who's right, who's wrong, and accountability and truth in this situation.
Well, for me, I think all you can do is present your character's truth in that moment. If you know that they're lying, but they're trying to be perceived as honest. That's the way you have to perform it. I mean, it's one of the fun things about this movie and all the characters, except for Steadfast Frederick, is that what we believe shifts. It kind of slips around and away from us throughout the movie. And well, maybe Chloe's character is pretty honest throughout. But it's just a fun thing to gauge throughout the course of filming. In this moment now with this person, what is it that I believe? What is it that I trust in this character or not? That's different from 2 scenes ago. Just the constant shifting sands of it. It keeps you on your toes, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think also to what you're saying too, at a certain point, you can't concern yourself with it too much, because then you're doing the character a disservice a bit. Like, that's not how one would operate all the time in real life. Maybe on occasion, absolutely, but not always, when you're just like being present and in your body. And I do think for me as well, I just remember like having a conversation with Luca, where you're just like, okay, like, just because somebody's a liar, you don't like them, doesn't mean they can't have a truth or be telling the truth. And I think that that was really helpful for me. I think just in terms of freedom of performance and of truth and of lies as well.
First up, I want to congratulate you on your win last night for Entertainer of the Year. You look fantastic. Your speech brought tears when I saw it online. So what I want to know is, from your early start to this film and more, what does the definition of entertainer mean to you now as opposed to when you first started out?
That's a good question. I think entertainer for me stands for the resilience. Like the work that it takes, the prayer that it takes, the trust in God that it takes is what I feel. It's like, would I had been the entertainer of the year if everything went my way versus the way God had it written out for me? You know what I'm saying? And that's how I look at it. A person that has entertained everything, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, not just in how we entertain people, but how, you just navigate something. That's an entertainer to me,
I love that answer. So along those lines with Perfidia, she is a revolutionary. She's a mother. She's so multidimensional. What aspect of her character stretched you the most? Mental, spiritual, or the physical?
A little bit of everything. Because, my girl was up in there running, shooting guns, all types of stuff. I was whooped. But I think what stretched me the most was her layers, and color coordinating those layers, because she's so complex. She's a lot of colors, and color coordinating those layers was definitely a big stretch, and it was well worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it felt good to play this character that was, unapologetically herself, even if it read selfishly. You know what I'm saying? To see a Black woman, put herself first. That was the part that was amazing to see. Not saying that, how the decisions that she made was right, but also if you take stuff in hindsight and you just say, okay, let me mute that part. This Black woman is standing up for herself. She can't, nobody can shut her up. No one can sit her down. No one can shrink her. She's standing 10 toes down on who she is. I think that's why we also have a soft spot for her. And it felt good to play a person so flawed that she was okay with you seeing her without her cape. You know, she was okay with that. You know what I'm saying? We ain't got to be strong all the time. We're going to make mistakes. And I think sometimes the mistakes are so dramatic to others. They take it, oh my God, they're clutching their pearls because we're forced to be strong all the time. So when you have that moment of weakness and that moment your cape rip, you see people's how they really feel. And I think that she was unapologetic about that. And she was also all she had. You know, I think she felt very alone. She felt like she was in survival mode and she was forced to move the way that she moved. Even though, you know, she's grown and she can make her own decisions. But you know, when you see the movie more than once, you really start to see how much help she needed. And maybe just like the cries out for help, you know, like it's just so many times somebody could have stepped in and showed up for her.
So kind of along those lines, I saw an interview where you had some comparisons of her to Asada, who recently passed away, as well as, you know, there's been a lot of conversation about how we place her, just looking back as a revolutionary, as a mother, all of the things you mentioned. So in looking at that in Asada, what characteristics do you think they mirror? And in taking, you know, it's been a couple of months since the release, and obviously since you stepped into the character, how do you look at her now with a little bit of distance? And how do you feel as though you folded in pieces of us or compared the two?
I think the part that I feel like the mirror is her being unapologetically herself and standing up for what she believes in. Again, you know, I don't look at Perfidia and say, this is Asada's life. Asada left her baby. She was selfish. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, Perfidia still has her own characteristics, and, you know, it was loosely based on, you know, Asada. So I don't want to put that in a category of this is what Asada was and what she represented. You know, I think these are two women that were unapologetically themselves, and you know, they stood for something. Unfortunately, you know, Perfidia got a little greedy and it backfired on her, you know, and she spiraled and made a few bad decisions. But one thing that we've seen in both is through all, they were badasses, you know what I'm saying? And they stood 10 toes down in what they stood for. And you can do nothing but respect that by any means necessary.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on everything. And positive vibes for award season, girl. We're going to bring something else home.
Thank you. Thank you.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Travelers across the country are facing major delays as FAA cuts take effect amid the ongoing government shutdown. This man is stranded at LAX.
It just feels like there's not much else we can do about it except feel upset.
About 4% of flights are grounded at major airports, with that number expected to reach 10% next week. Former Black NFL star